love is such an overused term, isn't it? The whole of spirituality is concerned with love. I can do away with divinity. I don't have to use the words God or the universe or reality or sacredness. But I can never stop using the word love. In fact, if you try to reach for divine, if you try to go there, you will always miss it. Because the only way to the divine is through learning to love a single individual, a single human being, yourself. To realize your godliness, you must learn to see each other, to see yourself and each other the same way God sees you. It is so easy to talk about love for humanity, isn't it? To pronounce it. To say, I love humanity. I love this world. I love every human in this world. And yet it is so hard to love a single human being. Whether it's yourself, your partner, your father, your mother, your child. To love them fully, completely, unabashedly. Without reservation. Without buts. Without always wanting them to change. Without always wanting something to change. It is difficult because we are lied about love and what love is. So we misunderstand love. We're confused about it. We think love is praise, for example. Praise me. This means you love me. Say something good about me. Don't criticize me. This means you love me. That's not love. Or we think love is a need. If you need me, then you love me. If you can't live without me, then you love me. That's love. You must hurt if I'm not around. That's the proof of your love. That's not love, that's possession. Or we think love is pleasing. Please me. Make me feel good. And if you say something or do something which I judge, which I object, which makes me feel something inside that I don't like, then you don't love me. That's not love, that's ownership. So how do we love ourselves in a very authentic, deep way? How do we take the same view of ours as God takes? Or if you don't like the word God, I don't have to use it. As the universe takes, as the reality takes. God is a dangerous word. So many atrocities were performed in the name of God. And why is self-love and self-compassion is so important, so central on the spiritual path? Well, for a very good reason, that you cannot give the other what you don't have. You cannot love another more than you love yourself. And for as long as you judge yourself for something, you're incapable of not judging others for the same thing. You can pretend not to. You can pretend very well. But you will. In fact, don't try to love other people. The love to others, the boundless compassion and love to others that flowers upon the realization, that grows more and more and reaches its peak at Buddhahood, is nothing more but self-love that becomes so profound, so vast, that it overfills you, it overflows you, and it starts spilling into everyone around you. Allowing loving yourself fully is the most difficult thing. That's not what we were taught. In fact, you will be judged for it. It is considered selfish, you see, to love oneself in this society. This society is built on subjugation. It consists of hierarchies. It is dangerous for a slave to love himself. They must believe they must really believe that they don't deserve it, that they are unworthy of it, in order to remain in bondage willingly. So it is dangerous. and not always understood. And what does it mean in practice? And why compassion is so important in this process? What does it mean in practice to love all of you? Well, that means that whatever comes up in you, whatever you experience, must not be looked away, but given attention to. Because attention, you see, is the highest form of love. When you love a child, you give them attention, your loving presence. You don't ignore them. So when you love yourself, you give yourself attention. And as you give yourself attention, you will find that there is so much in you which has been deprived of attention for so many years. There's pain in you. There's fear in you. There's anger. There are tears. There's grief. There is resentment. There are tensions, wounds, difficult experiences, unprocessed pain of mistreatment, unprocessed pain of brainwashing. And to give all of this your attention is the act of the greatest bravery. Because oftentimes, it's not going to be pleasant at all. Our bonds don't like the power of love. Our false beliefs don't like it. Our wounds don't like to be brought up to the level of consciousness, to be explored, to be accepted deeply, truthfully, authentically, to be looked at. It can be quite painful. It can be quite sad. And yes, there's joy of liberation and beautiful, extraordinary experience. But that is a result of loving yourself. That is the result of truth. Love and peace is a consequence of truth. They are a consequence of being very, very honest about what you're feeling, about what you believe, and being ready to throw away your beliefs, re-examine your beliefs. And that cannot happen without being ready to feel what those beliefs have created in you, how those beliefs control you. The way beliefs control us is by arising difficult inner experience when we start behaving differently. Our bondage is always running away from everything we don't want to see, from everything we don't want to experience. Always trying to avoid it. And only when this is exhausted, authentic awakening begins to happen. So developing self-compassion, good willingness towards yourself, developing an understanding that no one chooses this pain. That if you could, you could just snap your finger and get rid of all the suffering. Of course you would. Anyone would. No one chooses to suffer. No one chose to be born into this society. No one chose their pain. No one chose their fear. No one chose their shame. And so as those difficult things invariably arises on the spiritual path, the understanding that it's not your fault, and that what you really wish is be well, and feel okay, feel at peace, and be healthy, and live a long life, a happy life. The extension of good willingness towards yourself is what helps you to allow yourself to feel those things. And only through feeling them and bringing them to the light of consciousness, we can heal them. Feeling is healing. And nothing that you refuse to feel can be healed. Of course, it can get very confusing because the ego is in love with self also. It's just in love with itself in a very different way. It compares. It's not about the joy of feeling for the ego, the joy of being, the joy of presence, the joy of living. It's about being better than someone else. Even when it thinks it's worse, it's still better. Even when it thinks it's a victim, it's still a morally superior victim. Have you noticed? And if it's a perpetrator, well, of course it's better. It's a punisher. It punishes worse people. It's a tragedy, really, because the only reason that it compares and it wants to be on top is because it believes that only those who are on top deserve love. Only those who are on top are worthy of it. And so it does things for others without admitting it, hiding it very well. Even when it does altruistic things, it's about, oh, how others will look at me. And will I get praise for it? Will I get love for it? Will I get something for it which is inherently already mine? So it can never break through from this cycle. That's why meditation is such a profoundly impactful practice. Because not only it robs you from all distractions and opportunities to do something, to prove it, to seek again approval and love from others, but it also forces you to be with yourself and to feel everything that comes up, whether it's good or bad. And accept it all unconditionally. Spend enough time in meditation and you have no other choice. And that's why doing what you love in life is such good advice. You will invariably notice that in all industries, pretty much, the best people love what they do. They may have huge egos too. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not mutually exclusive at all. But almost all of them, without exception, they all have this in common. They love what they do. So take the same brave approach to life. Do what you love. Don't live for others. Live for yourself. Then, of course, if you love helping others, then do that. If you enjoy helping others, then do that. But ask yourself, when you're about to do something, imagine that no one will know, not a single soul. You're about to help an old lady cross the street. No one will see it. You won't get to brag about it on Facebook. You won't get to tell anyone. Will you still do it? Then do it. Then it's love. The movement of your heart is always right, but the movement of your heart is not for show. It's not for others' praise, approval, or validation. It is for your own pleasure. It is for your own satisfaction. You do that, you keep a spiritual practice, and you learn to love yourself as an individual, and you will invariably become closer and closer to the coveted union with the divine. Because in order to become closer to God, you need to take God's view of yourself. It can take quite a lot of time. And there might be a lot of struggle, but it wouldn't be fun otherwise, would it? It wouldn't be earned. It wouldn't be true. So that concludes my talk today.